Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we're live, live, live. The power you have is not to destroy things. A lot of people wield their power to show how powerful they are. That's not what power is for. Power is there to help people be elevated and to help people to be inspired to be better of themselves. I only have a very short time, so I'm just going to get into what I want to say. In this movie, there's also another trend, or there's another pattern from the DCEU, and actually started with Man of Steel, went into BVS, went into Wonder Woman, then went into Justice League. And that is the concept of power, and that power is not just something that is to be used to oppress people. Power is used as a tool. It is a platform. It is a way of influence, not to allow people to be forced to move in a particular direction, but it is there for people to make the choice of if they want to liberate themselves and release their own power. So it's very empowering when you see a movie where a lot of people are under the cloud of hopelessness, and then they get this injection of hope into their lives. Now, why I do these videos, I know a lot of you guys see my face now on social media. Some of you guys know me when I go into the cinema, I see you. But the important thing that I want to say here is not that. It's not about me, and it's not about my face. It's not about me coming out of the shadows or anything like that. What's important is something bigger than me, bigger than you. But we as individuals have so much power that actually you guys see my face all the time. You probably don't realize I came out the shadows to do this. I was compelled to do this. That's why you see me on social media so much. And what I want to say to you guys, the moral of the story is it's about inspiring other people. A lot of times we want to be very punitive. We want to subjugate people. We want to force people to do things. But what better way than people desiring to do things? Now, you can also trick people into having a desire to do something, and therefore they have no original ideas. They're not creative. It's very important for human beings to be creative. Now, when people can see that there's certain things are possible, that there's things that are possible for them to do, that's what hope makes people see possibilities. That liberates them to go after those things. And so it's a very important principle in life. Now, over the ACE Comic-Con over the weekend, we had the Young Justice League, a group of children with various disabilities, and some of them life-threatening, and they were members of the Justice League, and you saw them with Henry Cavill, and you saw them with the other cast that played the Justice League. And what this symbolizes for all of you is that these people have darkness in their lives. These kids, at a young age, have a lot of darkness, and they have to deal with that darkness. But they allowed themselves to supersede past what they thought was their limits and be able to achieve this. They are actually at ACE Comic-Con, some of them not well and all that, and they still ended up being in ACE Comic-Con. And let that be an inspiration to you, because these children carry a lot of power with them. Every one of us carry power within us. That's what Patty Jenkins was trying to get across to you with Wonder Woman. That's what Zack Snyder in all his movies has been trying to get across to you. And that's what Joss Whedon painted, just touching up Zack Snyder's work. That's what he wanted you to come out of the cinema feeling. All of these directors, all of them, have the similar mindset. David Ayer had something a little bit different. He had a different slant because it was mean people, but he shows how mean people can actually choose to do good. That in the end, it wasn't because Amanda Waller oppressed them that they went to save the world. It was because they chose to save the world. They chose to do this act for whatever reason. And it all goes to show you're not bad enough that you're irredeemable. Some people are. But you're not bad enough to be irredeemable just because you did bad things, or you had a bad lifestyle in your life, or you may have been alienated because you were different. So don't let public perceptions fool you about who you are. Don't let the feedback around you keep you from hoping. Don't let your personal failures keep you back from moving forward. Trust me, this guy who's talking to you, he's failed a lot. And any successful person in the world has failed a lot. It's just how you react to failure. So I just wanted to share that with you about Justice League and the power you have. You do have incredible power. You're like a superhero. You're like a walking, I like to call it a supernova. You're like an exploding star. Yes, the star dies, but it affects so many other people. And it's the same thing with Justice League. Justice League affects so many different people. Superman in Justice League affects so many people. When he died, there is a scripture that says, unless a seed goes to earth and dies, all right, it cannot raise up a tree, or it cannot raise up a forest. If a star doesn't supernova and die in the sky, all of these uh, beautiful cosmic galaxies and stuff like that. So you have to understand death and resurrection, which is an idea that Zack Snyder was actually working with in this movie. Death and resurrection is important, and hope can die, but it can rise back up in your life. And sometimes you have what we call the dawning period of your life. So guys, I just wanted to share that with you. I know there's some of you viewing my video right now. I'll just take one or two questions. Do understand, just because you're hopeful doesn't mean they're going to be positive things happening. Okay, no matter how hard you work, no matter how you try, sometimes things get actually worse, maybe even worse past your lifespan, and then probably they get better. But it always will end up getting better, because life has a yin yang, so it balances off. But nonetheless, don't be hopeful because of what outcome you want to see. Be hopeful because that pushes you further towards positive possibilities. That's the reason to do it. All right. And let's say 8 out of 10 times you get positive outcome if you keep on persevering. But nonetheless, don't look for it for the outcome's sake. Okay. All right. Let's just get into you guys here and the links. I haven't gone anywhere yet. I haven't done any work. I've just been spending time trying to meditate and trying to get this stuff out there for you guys. Okay. Nobody in the live chat. Okay, cool. Well, guys, I got to go. I got to bounce out of here. So one more thing I want to say to the DCEU fans who've been watching my channel, watching my videos, is I don't really like staying in gossip and rumors and unconfirmed stuff. If it's confirmed, it's fine. If it's unconfirmed stuff, I'm not really into it. So when people talk to me about rumors and stuff, and I know there's a lot of rumors out there, I don't really take it on. All right. I know some of you are excited about the future. I see somebody talking about, let's see here. No, this guy's a negative person. Like I said before, it doesn't really matter what outcome people say or what people say. If somebody's blind to positive possibility, there's nothing you can do about it. This guy, censorship, of course, they're going to come out of the shadows. People who have, they have no hope. Let's go. Censorship says, 1, you can't fool people with this. Critics and audience were already burned 3 times. No, by the mediocre Man of Steel, the terrible Suicide Squad, and the convoluted mess of BVS. 2, or as I like to call it, Psycho Murder Batman versus Mopey Emo Killer Superman. So it seems as though for some reason my videos attract people also, and it makes sense because life is a balance, who are trying to challenge the hope that I try to give. So let's just listen to the guy. If you guys want to respond in the comment section, waste your time. But it's good to see him. Censorship, it's good to see you, man. I hope, because the word is hope, I hope that you have a good and prosperous week. That's what I hope for you. Dawn of nonsense, as nobody says, does anything which makes any sense, all smothered by endless time wasting and dream sequences. So, well, that's your opinion, buddy. You know, you're entitled to your opinion. It's thank you for being on the live chat. I got to go, though. I got to go. So you have a good day. I'll tell you this, though, my friend. I'll tell you this. Life is a thing where we move and we breathe in a skeptical, narcissistic world already. And it's good that one director decided to actually put that world on the screen, like usually any other genre of movie. Superhero movies are generally thought they must have this unrealistic world. But Zack Snyder chose to use what you would see in a crime drama, or you would see in a drama film, like our world. And in trying to reflect our world, and in choosing to reflect our world, because we are used to the superhero film, that kind of typical thing, we never really pay attention to the world we live in and how these heroes would behave in the world we live in. And you're a perfect example of that, actually, Censorship, because the world we live in doesn't see hope. They tend to see, they're not hopeful about anything. They tend to be negative about almost anything. People tend to see the negative light and they tend to gravitate towards negativity. And I'm not going to fall into that trap. I'm going to instead, because I have other things to do, I'm going to instead inspire you and challenge you to find something positive to say about the BBS. One thing. And as with all your critiques and your hate and stuff and whatever you have your issue with it, try to find one positive thing about that. I always say to people, I don't care who it is. People talk about Donald Trump and all these things, and they're like, name one positive thing about Donald Trump. And that was easy for me because Donald Trump, to me, symbolizes someone who's always committed to what he says. While he does not apologize for anything, he's committed to what he says. And that's always a good thing. And I also like his ability to not only stay in his position and be strong about it. And I wish a lot more people would be more convicted when they have something correct, they'd be passionate about it. But also, I also found that him as a leader, in spite of his deficiencies, he's someone who seeks to be, as much as he can, very concise and clear about what he's saying. There's one thing about Donald Trump, you know, he ain't trying to lie. He ain't trying to, even if he lies, it's obvious, but he's not trying to be, when he says something, he means it. When he says something, he means it. When people try to spin it and protect him and stuff, he comes back and he says, nope. He doubles down and he says, nope, this is what I meant. And I think that is something cool. IR2 Lemon, what's up, bro? So you have Censorship and you have R2 Lemon. So I wouldn't say that. I want to say also that besides focusing on negative things in this world and also speaking about positive things, because they're things you have to talk negatively about, I want to say also, I aspire and challenge each and every one of you in the comment section or otherwise, before I get out of here, because I have to go. I challenge each and every one of you to look at someone you have never seen before. Now, this is risky, so be careful now. To meet someone you've never seen before and just either smile to them or greet them in a positive way, because that has a ripple effect. Positive effect, and they are just like negative things. Now, it's harder speaking negative because most of the day you hear speak about negative things, ills and stuff, but the average person still talks about positive things. And I think only in sports maybe you will see more positive things out there. And I challenge you guys, as my video is breaking up, to speak more positive things to people, to seek to be inspirational. Do not seek to be oppressive. If you have the power and ability to be able to discern knowledge and share knowledge, try to use that ability in a positive manner, in a constructive manner. If you have the ability to do tasks rather rapidly, then use it in a constructive manner, not in a destructive manner. So instead of getting into debate and wasting my time with you guys who may not agree with me on things, instead of doing that, what we can do is we can start to look at ways and means to say positive things. Like, for instance, it's no mystery that I didn't like Thor Ragnarok, but that doesn't mean I can't say some positive things about Thor Ragnarok, because Thor Ragnarok was not my style of movie. I didn't like it, but that doesn't mean it wasn't something that has a lot of good and virtue in it. One of the things I want to talk to you guys about with Thor Ragnarok, which had virtue in it, which kind of runs through comic book movies, but nonetheless is a positive thing, is that this movie shows a group of people who sacrifice. When you think of Valkyrie, Valkyrie sacrifices by overcoming her fear to come and defend Asgard. They failed at defending Asgard. It falls. But the point is, she overcomes her fears. Banner, Bruce Banner, he overcomes his fear of never being in existence anymore and the Hulk taking over and being the Hulk to defend Asgard. Thor has to grow up a bit, and he has to actually accept responsibility for what he's doing, and he has to face someone who is much more superior than him. And so in his transformative experience, he also has to sacrifice to make it forward. I find that admirable. And that's something that we see in comic book movies where there's always sacrifice. Even in the Spider-Man movie, even in the Guardians of the Galaxy movie, there's sacrifice where Star-Lord's adopted father, he has to sacrifice his life so Star-Lord will move on. Sacrifice makes a difference. And I got to ask each and every one of you today, what are you going to sacrifice? What are you going to sacrifice so that something good can move forward today? Don't expect people to say good things about you just because you decide you dare to come out the shadows and do something a little different. Like if you go into the cinema, you turn to your left, you turn to your right. I know people are skeptical, but sometimes a smile at someone or a hello would be nice. I know everybody's to themselves today in this world, but sometimes a little conversation with people, I know people are skeptical because they don't know if you're a scamp, you're a trickster. I get it. But you still got to have that hope. You know, it was Patty Jenkins that said that, yeah, some things look a little cheesy, but if you're sincere about it, it's worth it. And so whether you look cheesy or not, whether you look like a criminal or not, you have to come out the shadows and you have to step it up, because sometimes people need what you have to offer them. So that's what I want to share with all of you guys. Let's stop arguing and bickering as MCU and DCEU fans. I do understand the competition, and that's healthy to have the competition between each other. But I do believe also, at the same time, there's no need for vitriol and hatred between each other. We are all comic book fans. We have our preferences. And I do watch some MCU movies, and I generally watch most of all the DCU movies I watch. I'm a DCU fan to the heart, not just a DC fan. I mean, I like some of the DC comic books, but not all of them. So I'm not really a DC fan per se. I'm a DCEU fan because of Zack Snyder. But I want to tell you guys this. We have to learn to come together. This film was about that, coming together. And it's about time that if you have your personal preference in movies, it's cool. But the vitriol and the hatred and the negativity that we have out here is not necessary. Infinity War is next year. Captain Cards next year. Blackly looking forward to is next year. These are Marvel films. All right. I don't have to be enthusiastic about Infinity War. There's a bunch of people who will be, and that's okay. You see, in life, we don't have to like everything the same. We don't have to. We're individuals, but we don't have to tear down things because it's not our personal preference that we don't like those particular things. We must give other people who like things the opportunity to like them and enjoy that they like them. And so that's the thing that I'm trying to get us all as comic book fans to get into. If you're into one particular thing, cool. I'm not particularly going to be somebody who, I know the video is cutting up and breaking up. Don't worry too much about that, because it doesn't really matter. To me, DC Comics, Marvel Comics says, what's your favorite DCEU film? Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice, The Ultimate Cut is my favorite DCEU film. Yes. Okay. That is my favorite DCEU film, and hands down. My favorite Marvel film, I always tell people, is Captain America, The First Avenger. That is my favorite, hands down, my favorite Marvel film of all time. Love it. Love it to death. Yeah. Think My next one would be probably, it's either the Winter Soldier or Iron Man. I'm not too sure which one would be next. No. Sorry, my bad. My second favorite Marvel movie is Spider-Man. In fact, I think Spider-Man, I'm not too sure. I haven't seen it recently. Spider-Man is, I think, my second best Marvel movie. The very first Spider-Man movie. It's awesome. It's Shakespearean. It's beautiful. And it has a different kind of look as well. I think my third best is X-Men. Either X2, I think it's X2 or X-Men. That's my third best. So you can see what my taste in movies are. I'm not really into laughing a lot. Some people like to laugh. I'm not that guy. In terms of comic book movies, one that's really up there for me is Unbreakable. If you haven't seen Unbreakable, you need to go see it. Okay, Unbreakable is I believe a masterpiece of a movie. I loved Unbreakable. That is one of my favorite movies of all time. Hold on a second, people. I'm going to be interrupted for a minute. Let me just pause this. Or let me just go because I need to move on. All right. You guys have a great one. Just now. Hold on a second. Still recording.